A warning to our listeners, to our viewers, to our readers. This next segment includes discussion of sexual assault. Here in New York, former Columbia University gynecologist Dr. Robert Heyden has been sentenced to 20 years in prison on federal sexual abuse charges. The sentencing comes after Heyden was convicted in January of luring patients across state lines to appointments here in Manhattan where he sexually assaulted them. U.S. District Judge Richard Berman handed down the maximum prison sentence Tuesday, calling the case unprecedented because of Heyden's hundreds of victims and how his abuse continued for 2 decades at Columbia. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams called Heyden a predator in a white coat, whose victims, quote, trusted him as a physician only to instead become victims of his heinous predilection, unquote. One of the survivors, Evelyn Yang, the wife of former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang, wrote, quote, "To this day, I'm still waiting for Columbia University to notify former patients that a now twice convicted sex offender worked at Columbia for 20-plus years. They've been saying that that's not their responsibility, but how does that make sense?" Yang asked. After Heyden was found guilty in January, Evelyn Yang responded to the verdict on a CNN exclusive interview.
I feel such relief and gratitude. You know, the fact that we almost had a second chance at it, right? So the first time he was convicted, he basically got a slap on the wrist. And this time, I feel like it was the first time in this trial that a fuller extent of his crimes were presented and considered.
Lawyers representing survivors say Columbia University had a long history of ignoring Heyden's behavior in order to protect its reputation instead of acting in the victim's interests.